Good morning, everybody. My name is Cassandra. I am the founder and CEO here at Earth School Singapore. And I am very pleased to be joined today by two very amazing women, Lakshmi and Tasha, who I am very proud to be working with, and who are my partnerships director and my business development director. And yeah, we're here today to introduce Earth School. So, Earth School Singapore is actually just shy of a year old now. But essentially, we are Singapore's first ever school for environmental education. And our aim here to do at Earth School is try to increase environmental, understanding, knowledge, and helps to kind of enable and, encourage sustainable action and, yeah, inspire, a bigger community in that sense to build a greener future for all. So, in relation to the Youth Action Challenge, how might we, Earth School Singapore, encourage more sustainable practices among our public? And we do this in... Next slide. Oh. Yeah, okay. And we do this in terms of our curriculum, which actually spans the 10 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And we also have 3 pillars here, which is to learn green, experience nature, and act and impact.
Right, so trying to revolutionize environmental education in Singapore is a long-term goal. And at Earth School, we're in this for the long haul. Over here, we've mapped out, broadly speaking, 3 stages of our development as an organization. Back in February, we started with stage 1, which was about raising awareness of both Earth School as an organization and also for the cause that we believe in. In the digital space, we started curating and sharing knowledge related to environmentalism in Singapore. And in real life, we started building our ecosystem of local partners and getting the word out to schools, which I'll elaborate more on later. Currently, we are at stage 2, where we're looking at more tangible outcomes. So really implementing the curriculum that Cass explained earlier in schools. Hoping to establish ourselves as an organization that can work with MOE in the future to make environmental education more mainstream. Stage 2 is going to be quite a long stage, but we have to ask, so what happens when environmental education becomes mainstream? When the eco-stewardship program rolls out to all schools, where will Earth School go? So that brings us to stage 3, where we will take on a more supportive and consultative role in the environmental education landscape and continue to operate as an educational institute to supplement the learning done in schools. Right, just now I mentioned ecosystem of local partners, and this is a snapshot of what we have currently. On that side, you have the public organizations that have very generously supported our endeavor. And on this side, closer to me, you have the community organizations. And these community organizations actually play a very key role in our curriculum. As Cass mentioned, the experience nature pillar, the act and impact, this is where we will bring in these local green groups and companies to help us deliver our educational programs. Right, and here are some examples of what we've done in stage 1 and stage 2. As I mentioned, our online presence comprises our social media accounts and our website, where we have over 30 lessons spanning the SDGs that Cass mentioned. And we've also started conducting nature walks for children from charity organizations. I think the most exciting thing we have coming up is Singapore's first environmental education program, and that is our SHIELD program on the top corner over there, also known as Student Heroes in Environmental Leadership Development, which will comprise 10 primary schools and 50 students from those schools. So we're very excited for that.
Okay, so what do we have coming next in stage 2 is this idea of a nature learning space. Especially when you formalize an environmental education in schools, it's very hard to bring students all the way out to bring them to nature, and yet we want them to experience nature and act its impact, which is why we want to bring nature to their doorsteps through this nature learning space. So what we hope to do is that like every school, we have this nature learning space eventually, where we make environmental education part of their curriculum, and they have a space to go to actually act on what they've learned in their school and be able to experience the different things that we talk about in our curriculum. So when it comes to the features of the school, we will try to make it like sustainable as well. It will be like a kind of a temporary container classroom with a green roof, solar panels, a water recycling system, which is really for them to experience the place and act on what they've learned. Okay, in terms of implementation, the starting part will really come with trying to build rapport and like designing the school, sourcing for partners, sourcing for a test school for us to do like our pilot run. And then we'll go into like the purchasing, the building, and the curriculum planning. And then we were planning to do our test run start of next year with like one school. And then during term one, we'll run it, and then we'll gather some feedback, and then we'll work on improvements before we go into like expansion later on in 2023. So when it comes to like building an actual thing, we would require a lot of money because it comes with building an actual space and putting in all this environmental stuff, which you know right now is very expensive. Yeah, and in the end, like what we're planning to do, like in terms of measures, we are looking at the number of students, schools, and like partners who are really willing to be part of this program, as well as like getting feedback, because in the end, we want qualitative feedback from the students and schools to find out what exactly they need and what exactly they want to improve on. And in terms of our starting question, right, environmental sustainability, how do we encourage sustainable practices? We need to start young with the children, and that's what we're trying to do in terms of inspiring today so that they will act tomorrow.
Thank you.
Right, judges?
Yep, let me go first, Cassandra, Lakshmi, and Tasha, right? Thank you very much for your passion, your belief. I think every slide radiates your passion for this area, so congratulations on that. I particularly like your extensive ecosystem of stakeholders. I think stakeholders and collaborative action in this space is what will propel Earth School and ensure that it's integrated in the areas where you want to be, right? And also the SHIELD program as well as the nature learning space. Just wanted to delve a little bit further into the nature learning space. What sort of inspired the design? Are there consultants that you're working with that makes each item meaningful, but yet concise? So maybe a little bit about the design process, about the nature learning space, and what has been the feedback of the school partners. Do they want to co-fund this? Do they want to fund this? Is there demand for the nature learning space?
Definitely. So to begin with, I don't think we've actually, this is a very brand new idea, right? And we've had certain challenges, of course, trying to move within school spaces, especially, with the pandemic going on and everything. So we've had some constraints in that sense, in trying to push for, in that sense, like a classroom in a space, but just extended, right? We are working with certain consultancy groups, like I think the bigger groups, right? And, we're just trying to implement how can we build, a prototype of a space that would be sustainable and would be green, and we wanted to invite biodiversity. We wanted it to be completely running on the water, recycled water, 100% clean energy and so forth. So yeah, it's kind of trying to merge or bridge that gap between existing technologies that we have and trying to apply it to the built environment that we do also have, right? And yeah, I think you wanna.
Yeah, if I may just add on a bit more. Cass did mention we are at the beginning stages of this project, but one thing we have considered, I like what you mentioned about making the space concise, and that's actually in line with this area that we're looking into called permaculture. So we were thinking of possibly engaging with a permaculture consultancy to help us design the space to make it more in sync with nature, and also like what you mentioned, concise and effective in the use of space and how we're going to so-called gain yield from it, not just in terms of our educational goals, but also, if we have a garden, then we want the flowers and the fruits and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks very much for the sharing. I think my focus would be more towards the budget and the actual feasibility of the project itself. So I had a quick glance on the slide on budget, right? And I think the main focus appeared to be more on the hardware, right, the infrastructure itself. I guess my curiosity, I guess over here would be, how do you guys intend to run it as well? What about the manpower costs, right? Do you intend to do it for free? are you intending to, or do you have any partners who are coming along to support you on that? Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So that was something that we definitely considered, right? So what we're trying to do now is not just make it an us school thing. Like I think Tasha mentioned quite well that we are, very looking towards being a very collaborative kind of organization in that sense. So it's not just, us school in sense of manpower-wise. We want to provide a space, for our partners to come in and share about what they do and, kind of grow their impact as well among our young children, right? And in addition to that, we want it to be a space that the students and the school is proud of, right? Have the gardeners come in and help out. Have, people, the kids come in and garden and help here and there. Have science lessons there even, right? So in terms of manpower, we think of it as more of an extension of our school campuses that we already have. So yes.
I think like specifically on the budget itself, when it comes to like the cost, I know like all of this are infrastructure costs, because this is really for the pilot run itself. And for the pilot run, we are planning to run manpower on on our voluntary basis, because like the Earth School team is more than just the three of us. We actually have like about 20 plus people in our team itself, and we also like take in interns and stuff. So yes, we are quite a big team. So we have volunteers who are willing to like help out. So in terms of like manpower and stuff, for the pilot run itself, we'll probably run it like in terms of like on a voluntary basis. But after the pilot run, it's about seeing like what impact it is, and if we can prove to schools that this is something that is impactful, then we'll get like the budget relevant to like manpower, and then working with the schools in terms of who will be handling and everything.
Yes.
Hi, thanks for the great presentation and your energy. And I do want to congratulate you on a grounded thought process of this is the long haul. Education takes a long time, and building on the previous comments on the bubble on idea that it's actually people who are conscious and educated are willing to go through a little more inconvenience, and that curve, as we keep hitting the sweet spot of educating more people and taking extreme convenience out of the equation, is our only way forward. But my question is, just being a devil's advocate here, right? As Singapore moves from a city to a garden city to a city in a garden, right? Is there a need for something extra, or can we use the infrastructure of available gardens around us to educate our kids on nature or exposure to nature, right? Or take the extreme convenient option of putting a container in every school. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question, first of all. That was something that we were thinking of, for sure. And we wanted to see, if there was going to be a way to actually, integrate environmental education into schools, especially in our curriculum right now. And, in terms of inconvenience, right, well, how do we jump over that curve to engage more people, get more students to come in, be more curious, be more imaginative about nature and about the environment around us? And we thought that the best way to do that was to bring it right to the doorstep. But that's not in any way saying that we should be, ignoring or like not taking kids out to our existing green community spaces, into, all the different like amazing like nature reserves that we have. We would definitely want to do that. But in this case, we thought that the nature learning space would really be a step forward and a step up, into reaching more students in that sense. And yeah.
Yeah, I think to like what Cass said, right, is really, we do agree that there are places outside, and we've been thinking about this for a very long time. When we first came to YSC, we were like, oh, we want to build a physical campus, and then we're like, wait, no, Singapore has a lot of spaces available already. And the reason that in the end we came out with the nature learning thing is that we can bring students out, sure, but when we come to formalizing the curriculum, and we want the curriculum to be something that is really part of the schools, we cannot bring them out on learning journeys every week. We cannot bring them out to like see the nature like very often. So we want something within their school itself where they can actually apply what they're learning in their classrooms and really be able to experience within their schools, instead of like having to bring them out every single week as part of their curriculum.
Yeah, I just want to say that, I like the bold vision of an Earth school, right? We're not talking about Singapore school, we're talking about the Earth school. So I like that. And I can also sense that you truly believe that raising awareness, getting people into action is important. And I totally agree that's something that we need right now among not just young people, but across all ages. So thank you for the idea. I would just encourage you to think about, and you mentioned the eco-stewardship program by MOE, because the largest cohort of students that you're trying to impact are currently in school. So actually how your Earth School is going to complement the eco-stewardship program and support the program is probably one way to sustain your either the financials or even the curriculum, and to have strong partnership, because at the end of the day, we will got to mainstream the education, right? It cannot be a specialized school that people have to attend, and if it's not examinable and doesn't help me to get to university, maybe not so critical, right? But how to mainstream it into our education system, and what value can you bring to each of the schools? I think that's something, I think you're on track on that as well. So thank you very much for sharing the idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges. Thank you, all school.